Now, I'll check and see that the microphone is on. Hello, kia ora, talofa. Can you hear me okay? Hi Bex, hi James, hi Anna. G'day Bryce. From Motueka, awesome. Hello Trisha. Hello Matmroy fans. Hello Catherine and Grace. Wonderful to have you all along tonight. A little bit cool this evening, don't you think? Nice to snuggle down with a good book. And we do have a good book here. Hey. Right. Instagram, I'm feeling very snuggly with you at the moment. It's very close, isn't it? Okay, we'll try and work on that for next time, but we've got to get it all sorted off the one device at the moment, so we'll just have to cope, okay? Now, have you got a copy of Freakout Island yet by Justin Christopher? If you haven't, leap on Amazon. It is there as an ebook, so you could download it and read along with me. If you've got yours already on a device, wave it in the air so I can see. Well, you know what I mean. Maybe let me know down below, because Justin was so excited. He was absolutely delighted to know that 254 of you now have a copy of the book downloaded last night. That is awesome. If you could just add a review, that would be very cool as well, because that means that more families will be able to find the book and be able to share it with their friends. Okay. Now, if you've missed the previous chapters, because we are up to chapter 6 now, chapter 6 and chapter 7, I hear, we need to read tonight. If you haven't caught up with them yet, you might like to check it out on YouTube. I've got all the chapters there, and we'll keep putting them up over the next few nights. But I'm enjoying it just as much as you are. This is awesome. Freakout Island by Justin Christopher. So just a slight wee recap. This dude here is Leo. Okay, he's the star of the show. He's 10 years old, and he's been sent to an island. His parents won a competition, and he's been sent to the island with these children here who he doesn't know. He's just got to meet them in the plane. There is this guy here. This is Felix, who picks his nose. This is Ricky, who's kind of obnoxious and rather rude. This lovely lady here is Eden, who's a bit light-handed. She likes things that aren't necessarily hers. And young Harriet here, she can be a bit obnoxious too. She's a bit demanding. She needs everything, and she needs it now. Well, they've just arrived at the island and gone exploring. So we need to find out what is happening next, don't we? But first we better sing, it's our time, kia ora, talofa. It's our time, our special time of day. It's our time, just you and me together. It's time to say hello, g'day, ke te pea koe. Just about forgot, didn't I? I got all carried away with the story. Okay, but if you're nice and comfy, let's begin. And if we're feeling a little further away, that's not a bad thing, especially for our Instagram friends who had me pressed up against their nose. Okay, here we go. Chapter 6. The happily exhausted children lay in their beds, unable to move. What a wonderful beach feast they'd been treated to. Beach feast they'd been treated to. Bacon, waffles, maple syrup, ice cream, and all followed by a dessert of hot chocolate and toasted marshmallows. Now Leo watched intently as some sort of wagon approached the group of children. As it got closer, he could see it was Vane and Volga. These are the people that own the island. They were sitting beside each other in a run-down vintage car. Leo held his nose as black smoke came from the exhaust pipe, polluting the wonderfully clean ocean air. Inside the carriage, Volga had one hand on the steering wheel and was using the other to cool herself with a giant fan made of flax. Vane checked himself out in the car's wing mirror. He grabbed a comb from his pocket and ran it through his greasy hair. His style, if you could call it that, was short at the sides and long on top, and a large quiff sat high on his forehead, so perfectly manicured it seemed as if it had come straight from Madame Tussauds wax museum. Was it a wig? Surely. Leo was absolutely dying to find out. He imagined himself ripping it off when Vane wasn't looking and passing it around his friends like a hot potato. A few minutes later, Vane seemed happy with his masterpiece. So he placed his beloved comb back into his pocket and checked himself in the mirror one more time before slipping out of the front seat. "Hello, my friendly islanders," he hollered. And for the first time, Leo noticed that when Vane spoke, his face seemed to distort and warp. It was even creepier when he smiled. His grin was like the Joker from Batman. Vane's entire face seemed to be made of elastic. Volga stepped down from the carriage and surveyed the remains of the feast. "Well, aren't you a spoiled lot?" she said. "I never had food like that when I was a little girl. You should all feel very lucky. Do you?" The children nodded. "What's happy hour?" Ricky asked between mouthfuls. "What?" Volga replied, as if she'd been caught unawares. "Happy hour," Eden repeated. "George and Jerry told us about it. They said it will be the most exciting 60 minutes of our lives. They said we will never forget it, and all our friends at home will be so jealous." "Did they say that, did they?" Volga replied, and waved her arms about frantically, motioning Vane to join the group. When he arrived, Volga whispered something into his ear, and this time Vane's face warped into an expression of anger, exaggerating his wrinkles. He was breathing heavily. "George and Jerry said that, did they?" he asked. "Yep," Leo replied. "They said it was going to be the best time of our lives." Volga placed the palms of her hands on her knees and bent down to the children's height. "Happy hour is supposed to be a surprise," she said. "Well, it's not a very good one," Ricky replied. The comment made Volga's eyes almost jump out of their sockets. Meanwhile, Harriet chewed her hair, and Felix plucked a gigantic bogey from his nose. Vane and Volga glared at each other, like two boxers awaiting the start of a fight. They boarded their carriage and sped off as smoke billowed from its exhaust. Leo couldn't sleep, and he wasn't the only one. As wind rattled the windows in the super secret hut the children were in no mood to get any shut-eye. "Did anyone else notice Volga's thumbs?" Eden asked. "They're so tiny." "And her teeth are so big," said Harriet. "What about Vane's face?" Leo added. "It's all stretchy, a bit like a rubber band, and he never stops combing his hair." "What's left of it," said Eden. "Excuse me, but what is happy hour?" Felix asked. "And why did Grumpy and Grumpier get so angry when we asked about it?" "It's an hour and it's happy," said Leo. "My mum loves happy hour back home," said Ricky. "It's when drinks are cheap." "What sort of drinks?" Harriet asked. "Spicy drinks. Adult drinks." "Ricky, do you think they'd give us spicy drinks?" Harriet asked. "No," he replied. "They might," said Leo. "Why would they give drinks to kids?" Ricky asked. "They'd get arrested." "Well, then again, there's no cops out here." "What about a hospital? There must be a hospital," said Harriet. "What if someone gets bitten by a snake or eaten by a shark?" "Give them a drink at happy hour," said Ricky. "Wait, so how long is happy hour again?" Eden asked. "Oh man, just go to sleep," Ricky replied, throwing his bed sheets over his face. Leo stared at the ceiling of the super secret hut and across to Felix, who was busy rolling something around between his forefinger and his thumb. It was a bogey, Leo was sure of it. Felix flicked the blob onto the floor. "Have you really never been on a roller coaster?" Felix asked. "Never," said Leo. My parents, we don't go out much." "You want to know something really crazy?" "Today was my first swim in the sea." "No way!" "Yep." "Wow. I do know the difference between a dolphin and a shark." "So why were you so scared?" "Because I got a shock. I saw a fin, And you were screaming. Ha, that was to scare you, Felix replied, and his white teeth glowed in the dark. Yes, well, thank you for that, Leo said. What is the difference then? Between what? Dolphins and sharks? Dolphins don't eat children. Ha! You're funny, said Felix. Come on then, seriously. What is it, Brainbox? If you're going to be a pilot, you have to be cleverer than everyone else. Leo waited a few seconds and silently went through the images in his mind. A dolphin's fin curves backwards and a shark's fin goes straight up. Oh, very good, Einstein. Not as dumb as I thought. Shut up, Leo replied, laughing. I got it! It was Ricky, sitting up in bed with his arms fully stretched into the air. I worked out what PM stands for. Oh, there were initials above everybody's bed by their names. Ricky's was PM. PM. I worked out what it stands for. What? Leo asked. Prime Minister, said Ricky. And you want to know the first rule I'm going to make when I'm Prime Minister? Girls use the outside bathroom in the jungle. Oh, go to sleep, bozo, yawned Harriet. Prime Minister to you. The children awoke hungry. Luckily, the food hall and breakfast were just a short walk away. Outside the hut, George and Jerry, that's two of the workers that worked on the island, they appeared and asked the children to stand in a straight line. Along the path they went, and minutes later they stood before an enormous wooden door with a brass handle shaped like the head of some disgusting creature. Was it a dragon? Was it a lizard? It was hideous, whatever it was. Its mouth was wide open, and it had sharp teeth, sharp as a knife. Leo could fit his whole fist in its mouth. The smell hit the children first, the waft of boiled cabbage and wet dogs assaulting their nostrils. The hall stank like a rubbish truck. Come on, hurry up, said George in an irritable tone. I'm not a slave. I'm not going to hold the door open all day. Exactly, said Jerry. Hurry up, you lot. Leo turned to face Felix. What's wrong with those guys this morning, he whispered. Mustn't have got their beauty sleep, Felix replied. The food hall was the complete opposite of what Leo had imagined, though he grabbed a tray and stood in line for his breakfast along with the other children. The chef behind the counter was a stocky man with a sweaty brow and hands as hairy as a chimpanzee's. Leo watched as he picked up a dirty plate, threw green slop on it, and handed it to Eden. I never ordered that, said Eden. Eat, replied the chef. Ricky received his next. Ooh, he said. Double ooh, added Harriet. Leo politely took his plate and sat down next to Felix. The slop in front of him looked like something Peace and Quiet, his dog, might vomit up in the backyard. Green gloop with burnt carrots and rotten stewed apples. He nudged his friend. Man, what happened to the food around here, he asked. Tell me about it, Felix replied, holding his nose as he ate. Why can't we have what we had at the beach? Then he took a sip of the purple grape-coloured mixture in front of him. Yum! Now this is good. Leo noticed that all of the children had their own purple drink, which was served in a tall glass and appeared to have ice sherbet jumping right out of the top of it. Leo didn't hesitate. He guzzled his purple drink in one go. Wow, that's delicious, he said. Guys, try the drink. Ricky was next. Just like Leo, he glugged down his drink in an instant and slammed his empty glass on the table. The only thing around here that doesn't taste like cow vomit, he said. Shh, said Harriet. They might hear us. Good. Then they might make better food. Leo couldn't bear to eat his slop, so instead reached into his pocket and very carefully pulled out a few pieces of doubly bubbly chewing gum, and he popped it into his mouth. Friendly Islanders, said Volga, stepping up to the microphone. I trust everybody had a relaxifying sleep. Excuse me. How are you enjoying your feast? Feast, said Leo. More like a fast. Felix, Eden, and even Ricky laughed. Ricky spat his blob of goo back onto his plate. I said, Volga went on, did everyone have a relaxifying sleep? Yes, cried the children all together. Then Volga stepped forward and began a speech which began blah, blah, blah. And then there was more blah, blah, blah in the middle. And it finished with guess what? Blah, blah, blah. How excruciating. How boring. The food was disgusting. Felix began picking his nose. Harriet chewed her hair. And Leo accidentally blew, not his biggest, but a very sizable doubly bubbly bubble. On the other side of the table, Ricky was cussing like a parent on the sideline in a children's football match. But Eden was the worst of them all. When she thought no one was watching, she sneakily grabbed one of the Friendly Island's silver goblets and put it in her pocket. And Vane saw her do it. It's time, he said, chuckling to himself. Oh, you're right. They're so stupid, said Volga, and whispered a message to a Friendly Island worker who left the hall in seconds. Not long after that, the sound of a bell reverberated deafeningly throughout the hall. Vane winked. Can you feel it? He asked. Dong, dong, dong went the bell. Vane clapped his hands and clicked his heels together. Oh my goodness, he squealed. It's happy hour! Suddenly, Gilbert the parrot swooped in through the front door, circling the room in excitement. Vane clapped his hands and jumped up and down on the spot. A vibrating noise, like thunder, echoed through the walls. Leo felt a large hand on his shoulder. It belonged to Volga. Are you feeling okay, dear? She asked, her grin not altogether friendly. Leo seemed to be having trouble working out what was going on, but he most certainly did not feel okay. He felt positively strange. He was dizzy, and his tummy felt fuzzy. Something was happening to his body that he couldn't control. It was happening to a very embarrassing part of his body. He looked at Volga, terrified. What's happening? He asked. I feel weird. I think I need the bathroom. But it was too late. Doubly, bubbly bubblegum was creeping out of the bottom of his shorts. It was pink and gooey and slithering uncontrollably like gummy lava. Leo remembered all those times he'd accidentally stood on fresh bubblegum, the type that stuck to the sole of his shoe and stayed there all day long. And every time he tried to take a step, it went shloop, shloop. He always tried to peel it off, but it was too sticky and ended up all over his fingers and on his clothes and all over the carpet. Ugh! This was 100 times worse. Oh no, the pink blob was dripping down onto the floor now and growing a bubble out of Leo's butt. Soon it felt as if he was sitting on a balloon and the balloon was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Soon it was the size of a Swiss ball. They're huge. And so ginormous that Leo could no longer stay sitting. But he couldn't stand either, because each time he tried, his bubble butt knocked things over, like tables and chairs and other children. But at least his butt smelt lovely, like cherry. Or was it strawberry? Not funny, he thought to himself, not funny at all. What was happening to his body and why? How could he have been sitting at a table 1 minute and the next something was growing out of his body as fast as someone blowing up a balloon? He feared what might happen now. Would it pop all over his face? Over someone else's? Would he have it forever? Surely not. He could never go to school again. He could never, ever set foot outside his house. Leo peered around the food hall and quickly discovered that although he had a bummer of a problem, his friends were also in trouble. For a start, there was Harriet. Poor Harriet. Her red hair had transformed into a bird's nest with real live birds living in it. Leo saw them with his own eyes. There was a mother bird and 2 babies who were screeching and crying for food. "Leo, what exactly is on my head?" Harriet cried. "I can feel something scratching around. This is a bad dream. Tell me this is a bad dream." "Well, you do have a few birds living there," said Leo. "On your head." "Birds?" Harriet cried. "I hate birds!" And she ran around in circles like a dog trying to catch its tail. Maybe she thought that this would make the unwelcome guests fall off. But it didn't. "My hair," said Harriet, unable to bring herself to touch the twigs. "Where is my hair?" Then and only then did Harriet seem to notice that Leo had his own problems. She spun the boy around ever so carefully, prodding the huge pink bubble attached to his behind. "You have something stuck to your butt," she said. "Yes, Harriet," he replied. "That is my butt." Ricky sat on the other side of the table in silence. Leo squeezed in beside him and shouted over the sound of the bell. "Ricky!" yelled Leo. "What is happening to us? Is it the bell?" "Rock!" Ricky replied. "Pardon?" Leo asked. "Rock! Rock!" Ricky replied. "What's rock?" "Rock! Speak properly, Ricky." "Rock!" The more rocks Leo heard, the more he thought it sounded like a squawk from a parrot at the zoo, one of those expensive breeds that no one could afford to take home. He also got the feeling Ricky wanted to talk, but couldn't, so he tried something. "Ricky," Leo asked, "are you being stupid, or can't you talk?" "Rock!" "Are you not able to talk?" "Rock!" Then Ricky pointed to Leo's bubblegum butt and smiled. "Rock!" "I know, hilarious," said Leo. "Please nod if you're trying to talk but can't." Ricky nodded. Leo felt very ill very suddenly. He was starting to worry a great deal about what was happening. How would he ever be able to sit on the couch with his dad and watch Burt Lancaster movies? People at school would laugh at him wherever he went. How long would this go on for? Would his bubblegum butt just keep growing? He felt very alone, out in the middle of nowhere, with people he'd only just met. He missed his mates, Jono and Yang. Wasn't there a phone somewhere on this island? Couldn't he call them? But how could they save him when he didn't even know where in the world he was? But if Leo thought the afternoon couldn't get any stranger, he was very wrong, because out of nowhere Felix arrived. And, well, there's only one way to say this. Felix was carrying a brain, like a football. Seconds later he began to talk absolute rubbish. "Robot hungry," he screamed, grabbing Leo's right arm. Then he tried to chew it. "Robot hungry, spaceship, no food left." "What robot?" Leo asked. "Felix, what are you talking?" Crunch. Felix left a bite mark in Leo's arm the size of a golf ball. Leo's eyes watered, but he was determined not to cry. "Someone help me!" Leo spun around to see where the cry came from. It was Eden. "The goblet," she yelled. "It's stuck." Eden was right. The silver goblet was glued to her hand. No, make that super glued. She pulled with all of her might. Leo tried to help her, but when he grabbed her other hand, his own hand stuck to hers. Great! Now Leo Wrigley was holding hands with a girl. Music was playing, and Vane and Volga were dancing with delight. Ricky was squawking like a parrot. Felix's brain had fallen out. Eden's goblet had somehow glued to her hand, and Harriet had a bird's nest for a head. As for Leo, he had a pink bubble growing out of his butt. And he was holding hands with a girl. That's the end of chapter 6. Now, how are we doing for time? Do you think we've got time for chapter 7? It was quite a long chapter. Should we make that do for now? Okay, I did think we might have time for chapter 7, but it is getting a bit late, isn't it? How about instead we snuggle down? Oh, I better put my bookmark in, hadn't I? So I know where we are for tomorrow night. Should we do it again tomorrow night? Have another story? Okay. Chapter 7. I think it's shorter. I might be able to do 2 chapters tomorrow night, okay? But are you enjoying it? Oh, let me have a quick look here and see what the comments are. Okay. TV should play Susie's World. Oh, thank you, Lee. That would be lovely. Hello to Alexandra. Hello to Katie B, who goes, hee hee hee, bubble butt. Amanda. Oh, you are awesome, Susie Cato. Thank you, Amanda. You are awesome too. Hello, Vans. Hello, Vintage Blue. Hey, you're welcome. Thank you for the songs. You guys are awesome. How else have we got? Hello, James. Hello, Charles. Hello, Chardonnay. Hello, Adam. Hello, Sarah. I'm very good, Trisha. How are you? Excellent. New messages down here. I'll have to check them out a little bit later. Why don't we get ready to snuggle down? What have we got there? Is there some messages there as well? Oh, okay. Well, it's just about time to snuggle down, especially as this is a bedtime story. So how about you take a big deep stretch? Hopefully you've had a really good day, and that was a nice way to end the evening. Hey, this is our first week in lockdown, isn't it? Hopefully it's going well for you guys. I must admit I am enjoying your company of an evening, so thank you very much for joining me. Are you all snuggly now? How about you take a big deep breath all the way down to your feet, and then as you breathe out, you let go of the day. I feel more relaxed already. That story gets you going, doesn't it? It's quite exciting. Remember, it's available on Amazon to download as an ebook, so you can read along with me. And if you want a copy of the paperback, you can get that via Fishpond. And check out Justin Christopher, author, on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. We're going to sing, see you later, it's time to say goodbye. See you later, I've really got to fly. And I will catch you tomorrow night. Good night, my friends. Ka kite.